everybody.
Hey, we're Bob and Katie Adato with the Marriage Ministry of Crosspoint, and we're doing something new. We're doing something new called Marriage Stories, where we're going to be interviewing other couples in our church and asking them some questions, seeking guidance, seeking wisdom, and just to celebrate their marriage and what we can learn from it.
Yeah, so with us today, we have Bill and Shirley Richards. And if I'm correct, did we celebrate 40 years of marriage last November, right? Yay, congratulations. So, yeah, so all the marriages we highlight won't necessarily be 40 years or not, but right. We thought we would start with Bill and Shirley. We know them really well because, gosh, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we did a summer marriage course at the church, and Bill and Shirley signed up for it. And I will admit that we were like, they don't need that. They've been married a long time. So share with us real quick. I loved it, so I want to hear it from you guys. Why did you guys decide to sign up for that marriage class, even though you'd been married at that time 35 plus years?
Well, for me, we have a really great marriage. But there's always a way to fine tune it. So I think for us, we just wanted to fine tune our marriage, make it even better.
Yeah, I think that was definitely what probably most of the other couples were there for. You know, it's always, like you said, it's always good just to do something like that for maintenance versus waiting until it's, you know, until it's a little too late, you know. So it's good. It's very smart, very wise. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are going to be asking Bill and Shirley a series of questions. There won't be a surprise to them. We've given them to them ahead of time so that they could think it over. But as we're chatting, if there are things that you would be curious, that you would like to know about them, please put them in the chat or comment section. And then what we'll do is we will ask them those questions at the end. So feel free to go for that if you'd like. Okay, so we're going to get started. We'll let Bob ask question number 1.
All right, first question of the day. How did you meet?
Well, that wasn't on the list, Bob. I'm kidding. Yeah, it was. Well, I get this one because I noticed Shirley before she ever knew I existed. We were in 8th grade, and Shirley was the little milk girl that sold milk and ice cream at the front of the cafeteria. And I remember going through the line and thinking, wow, she's really cute. And then we ended up going to different high schools. So I never got to really talk to her, and I was very shy back then. And I don't know if you were or not, because I didn't know you really.
Yeah.
But go all the way fast forward to junior year of high school. And I'm talking with one of my good friends out in the courtyard during lunch, and he's a bit distraught because he and his girlfriend are breaking up. And he shows me her picture, and I see Shirley, and I go, oh, I remember her. I used to think she was really cute. Or I've always thought she was really cute. And so he said, well, I'll introduce you guys at my Halloween party. I think you two would make a good couple. So then he introduced us. And when he did, and I got that opportunity, then I really hit the fast track and waited until next Halloween to see her again. And then after that, finally asked her out my freshman year of college. And then we dated for 4 years before we got married. So I really tried to speed things up.
That sounds awesome.
Cute. All right, so he get that right, Shirley? Anything you want to add?
No, that's about it. It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun to meet each other in costume, right?
Yeah.
There you go. It makes for a great story, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
but milk was 5 cents and an ice cream sandwich was 10. I remember that.
Good. Well, yeah, you were collecting those coins.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, you're gonna remember those.
That's right.
I know that was the fun part. I always would get the chocolate milk. Right? Like that was the treat, right? Yeah, Dad, don't fill the thermos. I'm gonna go get the chocolate milk. Yeah.
Right.
I know. All right, question number 2. When did you know that you were in love?
We were friends at first, and then we grew into love. we dated for 4 years, and I think that's a nice way to start it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I was going to say we almost didn't have more than 3 dates because it was really weird. I used to have a 3-date rule because I never wanted to get serious with anybody. And I think we'd gone out like on our 3rd or maybe our 4th date. And Shirley made a comment because there were a couple of other guys interested in her and she was interested in them. And she made a comment as we were riding in the car about, well, this guy's not a Christian and this guy's not a Christian. And then she looked at me and she said, but you're a Christian. And it made me really nervous. I remember feeling really nervous. But regardless of how nervous I felt at that point, I was the one that fell in love first with Shirley. And then I waited for her to feel the same about me. And I'll remember that we were out in the car, enjoying each other's company in front of her house.
Watching the sunset.
And Shirley, I shouldn't say that.
You're fine. This is your story. You go ahead.
And Shirley finally looked at me. I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the time when you're there. And she said, well, can't you tell? And I said, tell what? And then she told me. And so that was just very, very special.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I said we were going to ask all the questions at the end, but this is pertinent a little bit to your story of how you met. So we already have a question. Somebody wants to know what you were dressed up as at that Halloween party, if you remember.
May I ask who asked that question? That sounds like kind of a
Nope. Anonymous.
I was dressed up as an Indian. It sounds like one of our friends. Dressed up as an Indian, wearing a loincloth, and I think I had the headdress, and that was it. And Shirley, I don't remember what you were dressed up as, but she wanted to be an Indian princess. So I took her all the way home to my house with where my parents live. And my mom had an Indian princess outfit she was able to wear. And then we went back to the party after that. So we were an Indian princess there and an Indian warrior here.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
and I'm Indian, so that worked.
There we go.
Yeah,
And I used tanning stuff all over me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that.
No.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
All right. Next question. What has been the easiest and challenging element of staying married?
Easiest. Oh, both the easiest and the most challenging.
Yeah.
You want to go first or you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we really enjoy being together and doing things together. So, you know, we both like dancing. We like going out to eat. We like to do driving trips. Just there's so many things that we used to do. Racquetball together, skiing. We like to do things together. So that helped make it easy. Nowadays, it involves cruising and traveling to other countries, stuff like that. Probably the most challenging was, and we learned this probably even more so since we've been at Crosspoint through messages from Steve, as well as your class that we went through, it really hit us, is healthy communication. Even though we went to a lot of Christian marriage things as we were younger, and we learned about communication skills, I don't think we ever had some of the more difficult conversations we've had as what we did when we were in your class. And those were work. And I don't want to scare anybody, but they were healthy work. It was healthy.
It was good.
And so that's probably one of the toughest things, is healthy communication. And then I think with that, am I mixing it up here? Saying what we really feel in a loving way, learning to do that will be heard and will be acted upon.
Yeah.
For me to hear and act upon what she's saying and vice versa.
Yeah.
That's what I had. Go ahead.
For the easiest part, Bill was my best friend and is my best friend. And so I knew I wanted to spend my whole life with him, and we enjoy doing everything together. So the most challenging part, he's correct about, is communicating. It was hard for me to communicate my feelings And so in a way he could understand. And I think part of it was my background. My family did not have any filters. And what it means to have a filter means to think about what you're saying before you let it out of your mouth. It just came out, everything. And so I didn't know anything different than that, because that's what you grow up with and that's all you know. I didn't actually know that until I was an adult, that you're supposed to think about what you said before you said it. There was a lack of communication in my family and consideration towards other people's feelings. So I tended to be the peacemaker. Excuse me. I tended to be the peacemaker in my family. And I could get along with everybody in my family, but nobody else could get along too well. So it was challenging. And so that's been a process for me in marriage, to learn how to share my feelings.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in a little bit more. We both came from some pretty difficult, and I know every family has their dysfunctional things, but dysfunctional families.
Yeah.
I came from a history of alcoholics, including my mother and my father. And to be an adult child of alcoholics there's some things I still work through and trigger things. And so it was tough for us that way.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, that are walking that journey as well. So yeah, okay. All right, a quick reminder to everybody, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comment section and we will make Bill and Shirley answer them at some point. Okay, next question. What's a significant spiritual impact that has created positive change in your marriage, if there is one? I know it's maybe a big, lofty question there.
You want to go or you want me to go?
I put down, it helped us to realize how important it is to have a relationship with Jesus and to make him the priority in our marriage, and then to have a relationship in our church. So we have that support group. My thing was, my big saying is dig the well before you're thirsty. And for me, that means learn the tools before you need them. So you don't wait until you're having issues in your marriage. You learn what you need to know before, so that when you have those problems, you then have the tools. Early on, we went to Weekend to Remember. We went to many things. Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace, to learn how to get on the same page about finances, and
Covenant marriage.
Christian
Marriage Ministries.
Oh my goodness, tons of them. Because we didn't know what a Christian marriage was supposed to look like, but we wanted to find out. And then of course, dynamic marriage was great. That was awesome. You want to add?
Yeah, I also wanted.
Sorry.
I also wanted to add something to the prior question that I forgot to mention that to me is real critical. Is that okay?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Another challenging thing for me, and I think also for Shirley, but not as much for her probably, and I think it's tough for young couples, is setting boundaries with in-laws, especially when you come from two very dysfunctional families that don't recognize boundaries. I wish I would have been strong enough, smart enough, assertive enough to draw those boundaries and say no, rather than always caving in or doing whatever they wanted to try and help, be thinking that, well, it's for my wife.
Right.
So, and I know she would do things the same for me. So I think that's a key thing. I just didn't want to forget sharing that.
Sure, yeah,
for you.
that's good. Well, it kind of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was.
Oh, yeah, you're right, go ahead. Sorry.
Go
Do you
ahead.
want to share, Bill, anything?
No, you go ahead,
about
share.
this question?
Challenges that have strengthened our marriage. I just think not so much a challenge, and I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly how the question was, but I have on my notes here just that we've learned to depend on God. It's helped us develop a dependence on God. Prayer has been key for us. Being there for one another through difficult times and stuff. And then, as Shirley mentioned, a lot of courses and training and workshops that we've gone to have been very helpful. And the big thing is doing all that. I don't recall if you just said this, but doing all that, I should have been listening, while things are still going well.
Yeah.
You did say that?
Yeah, it's okay.
There
Say
you
it
go.
again. You need
So
to hear it
that
again.
when things start getting tough,
Yeah.
you've already got it, the foundation laid.
Right.
So.
Yeah, super smart guys. Yeah, I think that might be so far the biggest takeaway for people. Yeah, absolutely. And that's not just for marriage, right? For all kinds of things.
For everything.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bill, you kind of segued, you kind of answered the next question, but it's for both of you. If you can think of anything else, what are a couple of the most critical things you wish you had known when you got married? So you did mention boundaries, as that was something important. But do you have anything else that you can think of that you wish you would have known when you got married?
Oh. Well, a couple years ago, Steve shared something. It was a message, and we picked up on it in your class also, where I did. And it was about being a permissive husband. Okay. And I wish I would have learned early on about not being a permissive husband, where it's like just yes, 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 yes to everything. Okay. For example, years ago when we were going to change our pastorate, we had moved to Temecula. We lived in Paris. I wanted to change churches and go to church here in Temecula, but Shirley wanted to stay up in Paris. So for 8 years, even though we lived in Temecula, we kept going to Paris for church. And I felt myself that took away from my spiritual growth. And as the spiritual leader of the family, that probably wasn't the right thing to do. But I did it because I was wanting my wife to be where she wanted to be, but I suffered through it, and it had an impact on me and an impact on us. So when I think about that, I think, no, what should have happened is we should have discussed it, should have said, yeah, we need to change churches. We live down here. We can't be as involved as we were up there. So we're going to do it. But then the two of us select a church that we're both comfortable with and make sure she's absolutely comfortable with it. But then my needs would have been met, and not all of them, but not all of hers either. But we would have made that progress. Because 8 years is a long time to only be going to Saturday or Sunday service, and that's it, right? Because we had to give up being involved in committees, being deacon, being a part of small groups up there. We gave up a lot, or I did, because I was working long distances, traveling, commuting. Shirley could be more involved, but it took a toll. So that's my example on that. Yeah. It's not a knock. It's just something I learned, and I've seen other couples since then, and I've watched and I've seen how they handle things like that. And I wish I would have been mature enough to handle it in a better way.
Sure.
So that was one. Better communication skills that's a biggie. I mean, probably even the biggest thing. And again, your class was really helpful with that. To approach and better handle difficult conversations that need to happen. And sometimes you just sweep it under the carpet, not just for a month or a year, but maybe years or a decade. You don't want to do that, okay? And then to always be uplifting. Try to always be uplifting in everything you say or do. And that's a tough one, because I tend to be critical sometimes. And so I've tried to learn to be more uplifting and gentle in things. Shirley?
Yeah, we're learning. We're still learning after 40 years. I wanted to go back and say that we were very intentional from the very start. We knew.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Yeah, I stated it.
Too late.
We knew that we wanted a Christian marriage, and we did not come from homes that had that. So we were very intentional with the Lord from the very start. because we wanted to change the legacy of our family and give our children a chance. So that was number one for me. Of course, to learn to communicate better. That's been, we've been working on that. Sorry, I've been dealing with asthma with all the air stuff going on. So we are improving on that, and it takes a lot of work to do that. Trying to communicate with each other, and one of the things we had gone to, I don't remember which one, they said to help your spouse understand how you're feeling, share a story that.
It was Gary Smalley, picture story.
Picture story. Thank you. Why don't you share? Because you probably remember better. Share a story that they can resonate with, that they remember. And so when you can say, I want to communicate, this is how I'm feeling, and say it better for me.
Okay, you take an
He's better.
experience that person has actually lived in their life, where maybe Shirley had lost a dog and the dog died, and she loved that dog, and she felt incredible grief over the loss of that dog. And she just said and I don't know, maybe that's not the best example, or lost a contest. She was in a gymnastics competition. She lost a contest, came so close, but didn't get first place, and she was very disappointed. And so I would say, Shirley, remember that time when you were in that gymnastics contest and you missed out, you didn't get first place? Remember how devastated you felt and how you just felt like it was robbed from you? Well, that's how I felt when this happened, or when you said this or shared this. And then it helps them get a feeling of, or an understanding of, how deep that emotion was that you were feeling. So it's kind of a word picture is what they call it.
And that helped us in some ways.
A lot.
Yeah.
And our kids, raising them up.
Yeah. It was a good thing. The other thing I added was, as you do become one, you also allow for yourself to have personal growth. Because you can't just have your spouse to fulfill all your needs. That's impossible. You can't put that on them. It's not fair. And so you have to still develop as a person, your own personal growth. So we enjoy things separately, and we enjoy things together. And so I think that's the way to do it.
I'm going to add one more and then I'll stop. Heard it from a very, very wise man who I respect and love very much. Steve Redden's dad, Pastor Jim Redden. He would always said, there's always room for grace, more grace. Something else would happen, exercise more grace. That's it.
I love that.
Yeah, very good, very good. And Bill, I have to tell you, when you started talking about, the things you wish you would have known from the beginning, I was wondering how many wives were cringing at, oh no, but we want our husbands to say and do everything we ask, right?
I thought
like,
about that.
Bill, don't give that away. Don't plant that seed in the husband's minds. But no, it's very honest, and it really is. I think even as us wives know that truly deep down, that's how we want it, right? We do want the husbands to take the lead, and yeah, but we like our own way too, right? Okay. All right, so these are a combined question. It's the same question for both of you. So for Shirley, what's the most important thing for a wife to know? And for Bill, what's the most important thing for a husband to know?
Oh,
Okay. Well, I think to feel loved, safe and secure, and that your husband is on your side. I feel like the wife should really try, because I would shut down when my feelings got hurt, and I wouldn't talk, and because I couldn't communicate what I was trying to communicate, so I would shut down altogether. So don't do that. Try to figure out tools, go to classes, learn how to communicate better with your spouse sooner. Don't wait. Don't wait. Do it early on in your marriage.
How about Bill? What's the most important thing for a husband to know?
Well, I put a couple of things. I put what his wife's needs or desires are, and how she communicates them so that you can hear and pick up on those and understand what they are. So you really want to be attentive to her needs. And then that his wife, I also answered it from another perspective. What's important for a husband to know that his wife is supportive of him and that she will still love and honor him, even though he isn't perfect and will make plenty of mistakes. So basically love and respect.
Right.
Yeah.
So important.
So I kind of took it from two sides. I wasn't sure where that question was.
No, I love it. You covered
Yeah.
it all for us. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's your answer.
There
so.
you go. So, all right, just a friendly reminder, guys, we have one more question for Bill and Shirley. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. And as soon as they answer this last one, we will get to anything that you've got. So there we go. All right, you want to ask the last question?
Yes. So should be easy question. What's a small thing that couples can do to keep their marriage fun and engaging?
Go ahead.
I had more than a couple things.
Okay.
My thing is, what's your 10? So figure
Oh,
out.
you stole, I had that.
I
I had it first. She's, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, you can share too. But find out what each other loves the most and then try to do that. Incorporate that in the date. Make life an adventure and dream, play, plan, and dance together.
Right. Thank you. All right. What do you have, Bill?
Well, I had date nights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are important. We've always made sure we had date nights. Even now with the kids gone, we have date nights where we get out and just pick something to go do. Try new things.
Mhm.
So we try new things regularly. We go on adventures. Like we were coming back from Vegas one time. We saw Zizek's Road. We've seen it many times. We're like, wonder what's at the end of that. So we went off-roading and went to the end of Zizek's Road. You ever done that?
No.
No? Well, I'll let you do it sometime.
What's at the end? Are you going to tell
I'll
us?
let you find out.
You need us to find out. That's a good way. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But we'll do things like that where we'll just be spontaneous and go do something for the fun of it. And again, I had her 10, his 10. We like to try and when we go on vacations and stuff, we'll say, okay, what's your 10 for this vacation? Here's my 10 for this vacation. Let's try to make sure we get to do at least our 10s,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And the last thing is jet skis. I've never seen Shirley go more crazy and more happy and laugh so loud than when I put her on jet skis in St. Martin in the Caribbean.
Wow.
Jet ski. She was incredible.
That was fun.
It's crazy.
That's
First time. First time I've done it. The only time I've done it, but it was really fun.
You
That's
tried it. That would keep it fresh. I don't know how to swim, so that will not be something that Bob will have me do. Yeah.
They give you a life jacket. You're fine. Fine.
Oh, just the fear. The fear alone would do it. All right, guys. Well, the only question, we're going to make it easy for you. The only question was the Halloween costume question. So you got off easy this time. So
I'm thankful for that.
Thank you.
there you go. Yes. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us and sharing your words of wisdom and just your story of being married 40 years. And again, just the takeaways, right? Communication, taking the time to learn before you need to know it, right? And I felt like there's one more. What am I missing, guys?
Well, for me, it was just the small things like his 10, her 10. I've never heard that before. So that's
What?
neat. I mean, we've been married. Your example of the his 10, her 10.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where you do stuff. Okay, what's your 10? Let's go do that. And it's been 25 years. Oops, 30. Sorry.
Just chop 5 years off the
Just
marriage.
chop 5
That's
years.
okay.
So there's probably another lesson I need to learn there, but anyways, that was neat. I like that.
Yeah. All right. So parting words before we go. What do you guys have? Anything?
Oh, I hadn't thought about parting words.
You don't have to.
Oh, you don't have to. But
Parting words?
Well, thank you. We feel very honored to be asked to do this. It's a very the big blessing, because marriage is so important to God and so important to us. And I know that when somebody gets married, they want to have a happy marriage. And so the Lord will help you. You have to be intentional, about it. It's not going to happen by magic or anything. It's something you actually have to do. It's an action. And so being intentional about anything will make it happen. So just search out what God is trying to teach you, and pray together, read God's word together, take lots of Christian courses to help you get the tools.
Can I share? I want to share two things, but I'm only remembering one at the time. Okay. One is prayer is so important, and following God's will, trying to do that. I'll share a very brief story of when we lived in St. Louis. I'm sorry, we lived in Baltimore. I'd gone back there for grad school. I gave away the story. Went back there for grad school. And it was time finishing my master's, so I was going to go into a doctorate program. We had several choices, one out at USC, Arizona State, University of Phoenix in Arizona, or Tempe, and then 2 schools in St. Louis. We both wanted to come back and be back in California. USC looked really good. Arizona looked great because it wasn't that far away. She went to prayer meeting that night. I stayed at home because I had an assignment I had to work on, but we both prayed about it. We said, we'll come back and compare notes when we finish prayer. She came back and we said, what do you think? What'd God say to you? And she's like, what'd God say to you? I said, we're moving to St. Louis. She goes, yeah, same thing. We did. We didn't want to move to St. Louis. We ended up in an amazing church there with amazing lifelong friends. And 2 of our best friends, my best friend and someone that Shirley worked with, ended up getting married because we introduced them while we were living in St. Louis. So we figured God had a purpose greater than where I wanted to go to school, right? And so it's following his lead. That was number 1. I still don't remember. Oh, number 2 was, anybody that is watching, that class, the marriage dynamics class, is phenomenal. And you guys are great leaders for that, for our church.
Very good.
And I would encourage anybody, whether they've been married even before they get married, newlyweds, or 5, 10, 40 years, it's a worthwhile course to go through. And we're really appreciative of the time we got to spend in there with you and all the other couples. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for the plug. I don't know when we're going to have that again, but
I guess we should do it soon.
I guess so. Maybe we should. That's right. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to end this interview for this evening. Thank you guys for joining us, whether you're joining us live or whether you're watching this back later. Please like it. You can comment afterwards. Bill and Shirley will still be able to check in and answer questions if you've got them afterwards. Share the video, like the marriage Facebook page, and thank you for taking some time to invest in your marriage, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. This was our pleasure. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.